The 12th Man Podcast. Let's talk sports. Let's talk Dub. The 12th Man Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. It's Coach Dub coming to you live from beautiful College Station, Texas, with your 12th Man Podcast for Week 9. Where, as always, we're going to take a look back at Week 8. We'll take a look at our current week that we're in, do a little bit of a Heisman update, and I'm going to drop just one offensive and defensive players of the week for you this week because it's been a long week for me, and we're going to try to get through that. This episode of your 12-Man Podcast is brought to you proudly by W Energy Drinks. Jitter-free, crash-free, no sugars, no artificial colors or dyes, and no calories. 15 plus unique custom-made flavors. W Energy Drinks. Be better. Use promo code B.I.A. Elite, all one word, to get 10% off your order today. All right, jumping right in there right now into the ACC in Week 8. Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia pulls out the victory 31-14. Moving on. Florida State visiting Virginia Tech, and Florida State puts it on the Hokies 37-10. Now we're down number 5, Clemson at Georgia Tech. Game wasn't even close. Clemson put it on them. Offensive firepower put up 58 points and a 58-31 victory over the Yellow Jackets. Let's jump in and take a quick look at some of the scores. Clemson had 25 first downs, 474 total yards of offense. They ran 56 plays, 8.5 yards of play. They rushed the ball 20 times for 96 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. They also threw for 378 passing yards through the air and 7 passing touchdowns as they went 4 of 8 for 50% on third down conversions on the day. The Yellow Jackets managed 14 first downs, 333 yards of total offense, 63 plays, 5.3 yards of play. They rushed the ball 26 times for 41 yards and averaged only 1.6 yards a carry on the day. They added 292 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns, while going 6 of 14 for 42% on third downs. Jumping down, this is a good one right here. Number 10, Pittsburgh at number 11, Arizona State. This game was one for the ages, folks. Pittsburgh pulls it out 31-21 over the Sun Devils. And we'll take a quick look at those stats. Pittsburgh had 9 first downs on the day, 237 yards of total offense. They ran 32 plays, 7.4 yards of play. They rushed the ball 19 times for 112 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. That only threw for 125 passing yards to the air and 1 passing touchdown. And they were 0 for 6 on third down conversions on the day. It was 7-7 after 1, 17-14 Pittsburgh at the half. Pittsburgh come out and added 7 quick points in the third quarter to make it 24-14 going into the fourth, where they traded touchdowns, and Pittsburgh pulled out the 10-point win. Arizona State had 15 first downs on the day, 205 yards of total offense. They ran 44 plays, 4.7 yards of play. They rushed the ball 9 times for negative 34 yards, negative 3.8 yards a carry. And they added 239 passing yards to the air for 3 passing touchdowns. The Sun Devils went 4 of 8 on third down conversions for 50%. Ole Miss at number 15, North Carolina. Ole Miss made it interesting, but the Tar Heels pulled it out 38-28 over the Rebels. Taking a quick look at the stats, we'll break it down first. North Carolina jumped out 10-7 on Ole Miss after 1. It was 27 Tar Heels, 14 Ole Miss at the half. And it didn't get any better from there as North Carolina holds on for the 10-point victory over the Rebels. Ole Miss had 19 first downs, 383 yards of total offense. They ran 43 plays, 8.9 yards of play. They rushed the ball 22 times for 256 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, while adding another 127 passing yards to the air and 2 passing touchdowns. Ole Miss went 2 of 5 on third down conversions for 40%. Now as we jump over to North Carolina, the Tar Heels had 27 first downs, 427 yards of total offense. They ran 65 plays, 6.6 yards of play. They carried the ball 28 times for 89 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, while adding 338 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns through the air. They were 7 of 10 on third down conversions for 70%. Now we jump on over to the Big 12. Number 13 Auburn hosts number 21 Oklahoma State. And the Auburn Tigers pull it out 24-10 in a defensive battle that the Auburn Tigers won. War Eagle Here we go. Auburn Tigers, 19 first downs, 337 total yards. They ran 55 plays for 6.1 yards a play. They rushed the ball 28 times for 106 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown while adding another 231 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns through the air. The Tigers were 7 of 12 for 58% on third downs. Texas A&M hosted Texas Tech at home, 42-28, a 14-point game, and it was a close one. Texas A&M again struggling on defense to hold the other team in check as they give up 425 total yards and 21 first downs to Texas Tech, who averaged 7.6 yards a play on the day and was 4 of 9 on third down conversions for 44%. The Aggies had 26 first downs, 471 yards of total offense, ran 59 plays, averaged 8 yards a carry. 8 yards a play, not a carry. They had 41 rushing attempts, 276 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Were averaging 6.7 yards per carry on the day. They threw for 195 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. They were 7 of 9 on third down conversions for 77%. Jumping into the Big Ten, number 2, Ohio State at Michigan State. They put it on them, and they put it on them hard, as the Ohio State Buckeyes put up 69 to the Michigan State Spartans 27. Quick look at the stats in this one. 35 first downs for Ohio State, 720 total yards of offense, 65 plays, 11.1 yards a play. They ran the ball 21 times for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, 5.1 yards of rush. They had added 612 passing yards and went 6 of 8 on third down conversions for 75%. We're going to jump in here real quick and look at this. They won the game by 52 points. Starting quarterback was 19-24 for 200. Oh, that's Michigan State. Ohio State quarterback went 30-38 for 78%, 523 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. And they spread the ball around evenly. And they played good defense as 2 players had over 10 tackles on the day between Fuller and Buck. Number 1, Oregon at Nebraska. Oregon 52, Nebraska 24. The Cornhuskers didn't have a chance against the Ducks. Oregon, the Ducks put up 23 first downs, 522 yards of total offense. Ran 50 plays, 10.4 yards a play. They rushed the ball 31 times for 285 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns while adding 237 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns through the air. The Oregon Ducks went 4 of 7 on third down conversions for 57%, while their defense held the Huskers to 4 of 13 on third downs for 30%. Sorry, folks, I've been almost losing my voice. Here we go. Number 16, USC at number 7, Michigan. Michigan 52, USC 28, as USC continues to struggle in the last couple of weeks. 21 first downs for USC. They put up 410 yards of total offense, 53 plays, 7.7 yards a play. They ran the ball 15 times for 38 yards and 1 rushing touchdown, but only averaged 2.5 yards a carry on the day. They added 372 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns while going 3 of 9 for 33% on third down conversions. Michigan, on the other hand, had 24 first downs, 500 yards of total offense, ran 50 plays, averaged 10 yards a play. They rushed the ball 22 times for 93 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns while adding 407 passing yards through the air with 3 passing touchdowns. The Michigan Wolverines went 6 of 7 on third down conversions for 85%. Jumping on down, UCLA hosting their FCS opponent. UCLA pulls it out 35-12. Number 22, Washington, and number 9, Notre Dame. This was a good game all the way through. Notre Dame pulls it out in a close one in a nail-biter, 41-39 over the Huskies. We'll take a quick look at the stats. It was all Washington early in the first half as they had a 28-21 lead at the half. But that's when Notre Dame came out and put up 7 of their own and held Washington to 3 in the third, and then put up 13 points in the fourth quarter to pull it out by 2. Washington on the day had 18 first downs, 428 yards of total offense, ran 52 plays for 8.2 yards a play. They rushed the ball 26 times for 239 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns while adding 189 passing yards to the air and 3 rushing touchdowns. They also went 6 of 11 on third down conversions for 54%, while holding the Notre Dame Irish to 1 of 6 on third down conversions for 16%. Notre Dame had 24 first downs, 485 yards total offense, ran 58 plays, 8.4 yards a play. They rushed the ball 23 times for 208 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, and added 277 passing yards to the air and 1 passing touchdown. Great game by both those guys. Both those guys, way to pull it out for the Fighting Irish in that one. Jumping down now to the SEC. Arkansas at LSU. Arkansas 21, LSU 10. Let's take a quick look at that one. Arkansas put up 19 first downs, 356 yards of total offense, 58 plays, 6.1 yards a play. They ran the ball 31 times for 192 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. They added 164 passing yards to the air and 2 passing touchdowns while they went 5 of 12 on third down conversions for 41%. LSU had 10 first downs. They were held to 289 total yards on offense, 447 plays, 6.1 yards a play. Rushed the ball 15 times for 88 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, while adding 201 passing yards to the air, but no passing touchdowns. They were 2 of 9 on third down conversions for 22%. Number 3, Alabama at Kentucky. It was a bloodbath. Alabama, Crimson Tide, 63, Kentucky 3. Alabama had 24 first downs. They had 541 yards of total offense, 61 plays for 8.9 yards a play. They rushed the ball 32 times for 192 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, while throwing for another 349 passing yards and 7 passing touchdowns through the air. They were 6 of 11 on third down conversions for 54%. Looking at it, Alabama quarterback went 22 of 29 for 75%. He threw for 349 yards and 7 passing touchdowns and only 1 interception. They distributed the ball well between their running backs and their wide receivers on the game. Winning by 60, it's a little funny that we did not see a backup played at quarterback in this game for the Crimson Tide. All right, number 14, UCF at number 8, Florida. Shots fired. Are we talking about the Crimson Tide, or are we talking about this game right here, the Black Knights and the Gators? UCF visits the Swamp. Florida pulls it out 28-14. The Swamp was crazy. Now we're going to jump in and look at the game. Early on, Florida jumped out to a 7-0 lead. UCF answered back in the second, but Florida put up 14 more quick points in the second to take a 21-7 lead into the half. Florida then continued to take a 28-7 lead into the fourth quarter, and UCF in trash time was able to pull it within another score, but it just wasn't enough for the Black Knights, who only had 14 first downs, 299 yards of total offense. They ran 43 plays, 7 yards a play. They had 6 carries for negative 32 rushing yards. They added 331 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns through the air while going 3 of 7 on third down conversions for 42%. The Gators on the other side had 20 first downs, 356 yards of total offense. They ran 61 plays, 5.8 yards a play. They rushed the ball 44 times for 210 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns while adding only 146 passing yards through the air. No passing touchdowns. The Gators were 5 of 13 on third down conversions for 38%, but they did go 4 of 5 on fourth downs for 80%. No surprise there, as the Gators are the fourth down. Go for it every time they can. Number 6, Miami at Mississippi State. Miami pulls out the victory by 20, 48-28. Let's take a quick look at the stats in this one. Miami had 27 first downs, 490 yards of total offense, 69 total plays. They averaged 7.1 yards a play. They rushed the ball 30 times for 141 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns while adding 349 passing yards through the air with 4 passing touchdowns. The Canes were 6 of 11 on third down conversions for 54%. Now let's take a look at our upcoming matchups. Here we go into week 9. Tennessee at number 10, Pittsburgh. That should be a good one right there. Number 15, North Carolina at Florida State. Should be another good game. Number 5, Clemson visits Virginia Tech. And Georgia hosts the Kansas Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawks at home. Georgia Tech is visiting number 11, Arizona State. That's it for the ACC. Let's jump over. Big 12. Number 13, Auburn visits number 12, Texas A&M. That should be a good one. I try to give you a score, break down the thing and give you a line on that game, but I'm not going to because I'm involved in that one. Number 2, Ohio State at Nebraska. Number 9, Notre Dame at Penn State. That just in, Notre Dame has pulled out a stunner, 33-31 at State College. Number 1, Oregon at Michigan State. That game has already gone final 2 as Oregon pulls out the victory, 41-17. UCLA visits number 7, Michigan. Number 22, Washington at number 16, USC. USC has dropped to 5-2, 2-2 in the conference. Can they bounce back against the Huskies here in week 9? Now we jump down to the SEC. Number 3, Alabama visits that number 8, Florida. That'll be another good one. Florida at home against Alabama. It's always a close one. I got -3.5 for Florida. They're going to have to win it by more than a field goal to cover in that one. Arkansas at number 6, Miami. And LSU at number 4, Oklahoma. And that is your breakdown of your upcoming games for week 9. Now let's jump into the Heisman Watch and see how things are shaking up. Rocco Franco of Ohio State has jumped from number 2 over the Ole Miss running back to the number 1 spot. It's Winston Watkins Jr., like I said, drops down from 1 to 2. De'Aaron Hill of Oregon, the running back, stays steady at 3. Ian Akpakawaruk of Clemson, the quarterback, stays steady at number 4. And J.C. Evans of USF stays steady in the number 5 spot. Now we're going to take a look at players of the week. Both your offensive and defensive players of the week for week 8 are coming from the Big Ten. Your defensive player of the week is Michigan Wolverine. Strong safety, Jermaine Carlisle, who had 8 tackles, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, and 1 defensive touchdown. Desi Jones of Ohio State, the wide receiver, had 8 receptions, 143 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, while averaging 17.9 yards a catch on the day. And we're going to give honorable mention on the defensive side of the ball. Cameron Lindsey of Pitt had 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 touchdown in their win against number 11, Arizona State. All right, that's all I got for y'all this week. This is Coach Dub. Until next time, signing off.